Hi, welcome to WarHQ. My name is Lucius, and today we tackle the subject of Orks in Kill Team. Is this the faction for you? Are you looking at getting into Orks within Kill Team? Hopefully, by the end of this episode, I've given you a basic rundown of the strengths, the weaknesses, the individual roles, the tactics, some of the individual units that are best suited for competitive play, and also provide some strategic advice for you as well to play Orks in Kill Team and to be successful at them. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, if we're just going to look at Orks on the surface, well, let's just break it down. There's two main things that make them a good kill team, or a competitive one. The first is their ability to hoard, and by that I mean the green tide, massive bodies that can be thrown onto objectives, can be thrown onto enemy, and can be pretty much wherever they want to be. The second is their close combat potential, which cannot be understated. The Ork kill team, in my opinion, is one of the best, cheapest base model close combat teams in Kill Team. And I'll explain this a little bit now. If you think about it, the Ork boy is your base model at 6 points. Now this model, with a slugger and a chopper, has a base of 3 attacks, 4 if they're a combat specialist. They have a 4 toughness and a 4 strength, and with the Here We Go ability, can re-roll a charge every turn for free. This makes for an extremely powerful close combat model. And when you think about it, in a standard 100-point game, which is what we use here in Australia generally competitively, I know the guys in the UK and the US have gone more to 125-point sort of standard since the Elites release. But here in Australia, let's think about it. If you just went an all-boy list, you could have an unupgraded boss knob for 10 points, and then you've got space for 15 Ork boys with sluggers and choppers. That's a 16-man army. Now that 16-man army now has a 9 loss rate before it breaks, or has to roll for a break, which makes it quite strong. And as we'll go into in further detail in this episode, you'll find that Orks have very poor leadership and they're easy to kill. 2 things which make you want to take more bodies. And that comes down back to the hoard factor that I was talking about earlier. Now, the ability to hoard makes Orks really great. I mean, if you're going to go with more of a boy-based kill team, then what you can do here is you can easily grab objectives. You can sit Orks on objectives, you've got plenty of spare bodies to rush in there, to get into close combat, get charges on the enemy, and then start doing some serious damage. The sheer volume of attacks that you have in close combat will ensure that something's going to die, regardless of how good its save is, because that's just how Kill Team goes. Next thing I want to talk about is the strengths of an Ork kill team. Now these are the things that set it apart from other kill teams and really can be exploited to your advantage to win games. The first of these I've already sort of discussed, and that was the cheapness of the Ork boy model and its close combat potential and its ability to hoard. Now lock those into strengths, because we also have the boss knobs, which are probably the MVPs of this kill team in my opinion. Now the 2 that stand out to me straight away for their cheapness and the extent of the damage you can do with the weapons that you can get are the Commando boss knob and the standard Ork boy boss knob. Now, the Ork boy boss knob at a base of 10 points is ridiculous. For 2 points you can give this model a big chopper. This gives it +2 strength, -1 AP, and a base of 2 damage on every attack. That's pretty brutal for 12 points. Basically your marine equivalent, that's like a basic marine with a bolter. I'd take the Ork any day. Now, the Commando is pretty much the same, a little bit more expensive, but it does get the hidden bonuses as well. Now, those 2 models are a standout in my kill teams with both of them. And on hearing other podcasts, these are a standout for not just me, but for everyone that plays Orks, because you soon realize that these 2 models are so powerful. How I generally like to run them is I'll take the Commando boss knob, and I'll usually take him as a combat specialist. It buffs his attacks right up. He's got 2 wounds. You know, he's harder to shoot, and that's why I use him in reserve generally. Now, either use him in reserve by himself, or I'll give him 2 other commandos to go with him. So you can use the special tactic and drop them in at the end of the first movement phase. Now, this puts you in a good spot with 3 powerful models, and 1 that can just rip face if you give him a Power Claw, which is his main upgrade for +4 points. Now, the Power Claw itself is devastation. I mean, this weapon is ×2 strength, which makes a normal boss nob 10, which is pretty much 2 ups to wound everything that you touch. Has a -3 AP, which most things won't save. I mean, a Marine will get a save of 6. Everything else is pretty much a toast. And it does D3 damage, which is just brutal. When you're talking about 4 to 5 attacks, which is what this model's going to have, and you're getting it within 5 inches of the enemy at the end of turn 1, which is crazy. Now, the other model I really like is taking the boy boss nob and turning him into a veteran. Now, depending on who you're fighting, and this varies, you know, if you need AP or you need damage, or you just need volume of attacks and chance to hit, you'll either take the big chopper or the Power Claw. Now, I tend to lean towards the big chopper on this one because it's 2 points cheaper, not that it matters. But if you're going against a smaller unit, like Grey Knights or something like that, then I'd definitely take the Power Claw to remove that save. But if you're going against something like Necrons, you don't want to be going like maximum damage. You know what I mean? You want to be taking things mainly that deal less damage. So the big chopper in that instance is pretty handy. Now this veteran, in turn 1, what you can do is you can do your veteran move at the beginning for 1 CP, and you can get him as far upward as you can with that with an advance. Now in turn 1, there's a very good chance, depending on the army you're fighting and how defensive they're playing, very good chance you're going to get that boss nob into combat turn 1 and lock up a few enemies. Now, armed with a Power Claw or a big chopper, watch the devastation roll. Then you're backed up by your commandos, which are sitting 5 inches of the enemy near turn 1. And then in turn 2, you can start using them for really wrecking some face. These are super strengths of the Ork units and the Ork kill teams. Now, there's some really strong elite options in this army too, and I know I'm hampering on about boys and boss nobs here, but the elite options are really good. They are quite expensive. I mean, you can run a decent nob army. You know, you've got flash kits as well, which are really successful. I've had a little bit of experience with the mega nobs as well. The mega nobs are like an Ork Terminator. And I'll talk a bit more about these units in the unit section, but as far as competitive play goes, the boys are your best option and the boss nobs are your best option. But adding 1 or 2 of these elite units in later down the track is definitely not a bad thing because they have some really strong options. As far as tactics go too, like your actual CP paid tactics, Orks have a really good mix, I find. I'll cover this later on, but some that stand out are like Nash's Wig, where you can do automatic wounds on people. Daka, you can take a shooting round again with a model. You know, there's some that enable you to be able to resist damage and to ignore wounds, which is really important too. But the diversity of what you've got to choose from makes Orks quite powerful. Now, on looking at an Ork kill team, I'm going to list their buckets of bullet shooting approach as a strength. There's a reason I say this. Like, I'm also going to be listing their poor shooting ability as a weakness, but we'll get to that later. But as far as shooting goes, Ork guns are quite strong. I mean, your base big shooter, for 1 extra point on an Ork boy model, 7 points in total, you can get an Ork big shooter, and it's 3 attacks base, assault 3, and it's 5 strength. 7 points, that's pretty good. I usually take a couple of these with my boys and I mix them in because they're good objective holders that can do long range shooting. And with 3 attacks, you're generally going to hit 1, you know, if not 2. But there are some options there too where you could include an ammo run, 3 points, goblin ammo run, which can also serve as a grot shield if you need to use it as well. There's some of the shooting options, but the bigger guns, like the def gun that the looters have, quite powerful. Obviously, you're looking at sixes all the time, you're an orc kill team. But there are some other options for taking shooting lists as well. It's not as competitive, in my opinion, but it is more fun. So if you're doing more non-competitive lists, definitely the shooting things. There are a couple of options for taking like flash kits with freebooters, and some of the skills that they have there, and also taking the squig option there as well. And you can get their shooting down to really accurate. You know what I mean? And with freebooters, it's increasing everyone's shooting ability every time you kill an enemy model with shooting. So it can be quite powerful using your shooting models first, like the good ones, killing an enemy model, and then everyone gets those bonuses. So if you're going to base a shooty kind of army, freebooters is a good sort of way to start. But I listed as a strength just because of the volume of fire and the actual strength and damage capability of the weapons that the orcs have available. Now, obviously, it's a weakness as well, which we'll go into later. I think one of the strongest things with the orcs, as I said, with the close combat potential, and close combat is their biggest strength, is the ability to re-roll charges. Now, this can't be understated enough. Like, being able to re-roll a charge when you're a close combat army is big. Most other armies would have to spend CP, just to re-roll a single charge. And, if you're anything like me and you roll atrociously on most things that you need to roll well at, then this free re-roll gets you out of jail a bit, you know what I mean? Like, it can really turn the tide of battles, I've found, through experience. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that orcs are good at. There's a whole bunch of things they're bad at. But this is just a few of the things that they are good at. Now, we've examined what orcs are good at and their strength. Let's have a look at what they're not good at, which I'd call a weakness. Now, the one that sticks out to me primarily is their lack of shooting ability. You could almost call it non-existent at a base of 5 for most orc models, 5+ to hit. Now, those that have played Kill Team before know that there's a lot of modifiers on shooting. I mean, even just having, the toe of a model behind something is classed as obscured, so there's a -1 automatically. Anything over half range of your weapon shooting ability as well is also another -1 to shooting. So they quickly add up, and when you're only playing with a 5+, you're pretty much looking at 6s to hit most of the time. So I'm listing this as a weakness. I know I listed it as a strength as well for the strong weapons, but it's also a weakness, and primarily a weakness, I think. It's something that stops them being a great shooting army, even though they've got good weapons. The second thing that I would mention is their slow base move. So a normal orc has a base move of 5, which is lower than your human equivalent, much lower than your elf equivalent, obviously. Now, this can drop as well. So like say a Mega Nob has a base move of 4, which is very slow. But when you look at Kill Team in itself, everything charges the same. So as long as you can do good advance rolls and get up in that first turn into the positions that you want. I've already talked about some tactics in dropping models in and doing veteran advance moves at the beginning of the game. These can all help to get your orcs, which are fairly slow, up into combat earlier in the game, which is essential for your victory and you winning this game. Now, probably, I think it's the funniest weakness, but it's also quite annoying, is the t-shirt save. Now, if you don't know what this concept of t-shirt save is, it's like if you just don't have armor, basically, Games Workshop seem to give you a 6 base save, right? So this is what an orc has. It has no invulnerabilities, unless you were to take the Death Skull faction, which gives you an invulnerability of 6, which is pretty handy. I do use that one a bit. But as far as just normal orcs go, a base of 6 as an armor save, which with most weapons giving, some sort of minus, you're generally going to have no saving throw, or you're going to have to roll 6s to save. So this means being attached to your orc models is not something that you really need to get into the mindset of. All good orc kill team commanders know that you're going to lose most of these suckers in the battle, and you just have to deal with it. Hey? You just have to wave goodbye as they get obliterated off the field. So using good cover, getting yourself into good positions with cover is essential. Commandos are a good thing for this too. Like if you're you're a little bit worried there's an elite shooting army you're up against, commandos can be a good option. They are a little bit more expensive at a base of 8, but what you can do with them is their concealment ability gives them an extra minus to hit. So that's, normally it's -1 for the enemy to hit if you're concealed, -2 with commando models if you're behind cover, which is quite powerful when you think about it. You add in that long range and the rest of it, and suddenly that makes them a lot harder to hit. To my eyes, these are the main weaknesses of an Ork kill team. Now, let's have a look at some of the clan cultures or sub-factions for the Ork team. Now, every kill team can take these as long as each model in the kill team has the same subculture. So just keep that in mind. There's a couple that really stand out. There's some that are meh, but there's some that are really good. And I'll go through my 2 favorite ones. And they are, the one that I tend to use the most is Death Skulls. Now, I've got my own reasons for this. Like, this gives you a 6 invuln with all models in the kill team, which is pretty amazing in itself, because those t-shirt saves are at least permanent. At least you're always going to roll a 6 and save yourself. Now, this has saved me probably more times than it hasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty useful. Like, it's got me out of a few tight spots and saved some models when I've really needed to not lose them. Now, on top of this, what makes Death Skulls so good is every phase you get to re-roll a failed hit and a failed wound roll. This is super powerful. Like, you can't say enough about that. It's pretty cool. Who gets to do that? I mean, it usually costs you 1 CP just to re-roll any dice. You're getting 2 free re-rolls every phase of every turn. That's insane. Anyway, the second one that I really like, and which is probably seeing the most use in competitive play, is the Evil Sons. Now, Evil Sons gives you a base +1 to your movement, which puts all orcs up to 6, and then gives you a +1 to your advance. So you can imagine now with Evil Sons, red ones go faster, you're getting in there real quick. This is super good for an army which is just reliant on charging and relying on getting in toe-to-toe contact with the enemy. I think they also get an assault bonus, so it means that you can move, you can advance and not get the -1 to hit from your assault weapons, which is massive as well. So keep those 2 in mind. Another standout if you're taking the shooting army is the Evil Sons. So if you kill a model with shooting in that turn, then every other model in your kill team with shooting gets +1 to hit, which is insane. It's pretty good. There's also one that the Bad Moons lets you re-roll 1s to attack with shooting. So there's a couple of little shooting ones as well, but again, I'm not seeing these ones used as much as other ones in competitive lists. But that's it for cultures. There's a couple more, but they're really not worth mentioning at the moment. So see how you go with those. Now, probably everyone's favorite and my own. Let's talk about some units. Now, don't think I really need to talk much about the Ork boys. I think I've extensively worn that out and bored you to death with them. They do have some other weapon options. You can have the rocket launcher. I'm yet to find a place for this. 1 attack. I mean, it's very powerful if it hits, but it's just 1 attack at a 6. It's just doesn't really do it for me. That's your entire turn with a model. Nah. Now, Gretchen. Now these, I generally take a Gretchen leader, like I'll at least have one on my roster from a competition. 3 points leader, you can hide him at the back. Gretchen models are smaller, so you can really get them out of line of sight so that they can't even be shot most of the time, which is pretty insane. And also, if you want to flesh your kill team out, like to go say to 20 models for 3 points, you can easily get to that level if you want, and that'll help with your morale. So for your break tests. So, but just be careful. They're really easy to kill, and they're just shit. Let's face it. But they're good models, and who doesn't like gobbos? I do. The Ork Commando. I think we've already touched on this one a little bit. You've got the boss knob and the normal commando. They have an ability called Sneaky Gits, which gives them an extra. Well, gives your opponent an extra -1 to hit if they're concealed within cover, which is super handy. They also have a base move of 6, which makes them a little bit quicker as well. So keep that in mind, especially if you're going to use, like, say, Evil Sons subculture, and that goes up to 7, which is quite good, like, really good. Now, Burner Boys. Burner Boys they seem okay on the surface. For 12 points though, for a base burner boy, I'm always weighing it up. Like, do I take two knobs? Two normal boys, or do I take burner boy? And it's kind of like D3 or whatever hits is okay if you're at range. So I mean, you can use these and you can advance them into an assault range to support you guys. So if you get charged, say you're fighting out a charging army, pretty handy. Auto hits are always good, especially on like a low toughness model or something. You know what I mean? Not bad, but against sort of tougher models, it's not going to do much at all. Excepting they do get a bonus in close combat. They're not too bad. They do have an AP bonus there as well, which makes them okay. But for 12 points, you've got to weigh up. Do you want two normal boys that do 6 attacks in close combat, or do you want one burner boy, which you've got to basically get into close combat to use anyway? So, but cool looking models. I mean, I really like painting those ones. Then you've got the cousins of those, which is the looters. The looters, I think, out of all of the base ones, are probably the one I use the least. If I was going to take them, I would have only ever taken one, because again, at 12 points base, the def gun is very powerful, but again, you're always searching for sixes, and I really don't like its base ability of D3 attacks. That's crap. Like, if it was 3 attacks, it would be quite good, it'd be quite strong. Your unis 1 in 3 is going to hit, but the amount of times I roll 1 on the def gun, and you've only got it's a 4-turn game. So I mean, you want to maximize your troops again. Again, you got to weigh that up against 2 boys. What do I take? Generally, I'm going the boy option. They're the units from your base kill team, so your core set. Now, some of the advanced units, you've got knobs. Now, knobs are really powerful. I mean, you've already got 2 boss knob options within the core book, which is a commando and your orc boy boss. But you can take knobs as they are, and they're quite strong. Really good weapon options and upgrades. You could have an elite list here. Like, you could just have an elite close combat unit here, or you could have an elite shooter unit as well. They're good either way. Not too bad. Obviously stronger, all have base 2 wounds, which makes them pretty tough. And also, one of the standout units in the knobs here is the ammo run, which is a gobbo, but it's listed in with them. 3-point model. Again, now if you're taking more of a shooting focused list, or you've just got a couple of shooters at the back and you want to give them a bit of a bonus, each ammo run that you have can enable a free reroll of 1 dice for attack, so which is handy. You know what I mean? Like, you've got 3 attacks with a big shooter or something. Hit with 1, miss with 2, you get another roll to hit with, and could make it 2 hits. So it does make a difference. For 3 points, not too bad. Now, probably the most elite unit they have is the next one, which is the Mega Knob. And this is an Orc Terminator. I mean, you're talking 2 up armor saves, super strong, super tough, hard to kill, good weapon combos. I mean, it comes standard with a claw and a custom shooter, which is great. I mean, great guns, but really expensive. So I mean, this is going to be in your your higher point games. I have successfully in 100-point games in competition managed to use these mega knobs, like just one, and then surround it with cheaper models and flush it out that way, and sort of hold objectives with it and really bust in. Making one of these a veteran is a good way of getting up into the enemy's face, because they are quite slow with a base move of 4, but super hard to kill. Things you've got to really look out for are things like your Tau rail rifles, which just decimate everything generally. But base of 3 wounds is pretty good as well. So, but just be careful of those heavy weapons. If you're going to use this, you want to either use a deployment move with it, or what you want to do is make it a veteran so it can get into combat, and it will wreck face there and be hard to kill. The last unit that we have in the advanced section is you've got your flash gear. So your flash gear is a really good shooting model. This is the only Orc model which has a base shooting of 4+, which is pretty amazing in itself. Has a captain upgrade as well. The snaz guns that these guys use are really good, really good. This is the one I was talking about before, where if you've got, say, you're using freebooters, a couple of flash gears with a freebooters list is really strong. I mean, the flash gears shoot first. You get an early kill. You can have ammo runs with them, giving them bonuses. They also have a thing which is called Git Finder Squib, which allows you to have +1 to hit rolls. That can only go on one of them though. So that puts it down, like if you're thinking about this, and you've got a comms specialist with you or something as well, you can get your base shooting down to 2, which is pretty amazing. You have an ammo runt near that too, and you can then have a reroll on one of those hits. Now, if this is the first model to shoot in your freebooters list, then what you've just essentially done is you're pretty much going to hit on anything but a 1. If you can boost it to all these levels that I'm talking about, and you're not at long range, and maybe you've just got an obscurement bonus. Now, if this model can manage to take something out, which it potentially could, having such good shooting, then every other model in that turn is going to get a bonus to hit because of the freebooter ability. So just keep that in mind. That's what I really like about flash kits. I've seen a couple of these used in tournaments overseas. I haven't seen any in Australia yet. But overseas I have seen a few like flash kit based lists with freebooters, and they they don't come first, but they definitely don't come last either. They're usually in the middle of the pack somewhere. So just keep those in mind. And that's your basic models and units with Orks. All right, let's have a chat about tactics. So tactics are anything that you can use your command points on to basically enhance your fighting ability, your force within Kill Team. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of standout ones that I like. So the first one that really stands out to me, I use a bit, is Nasher Squig. Nasher Squig, basically, you put one of those evil little mothers, little squigs, and anything within 1, you can got a 50% chance, basically, so a 4-up of doing a mortal wound on. Just anything that does that is powerful, and I like it. 50-50, it's not too bad. You're not going to be probably using this on turn 1 because you're probably going to be spending points to drop things in from reserve and do veteran advance moves. But from turn 2 to 4, this could be an option. Especially if you get into combat with multiple opponents and you just want to try and maybe get a free kill before you even throw a swing with your chopper. So that one stands out to me. Just a flesh wound is another good one. This can get you out of trouble. Again, it's a 50-50 chance of just saving, being invulnerable to 1 flesh wound that you take, which is, in my eyes, 50-50. You really need a model alive. Yeah, do it. I mean, 2 command points, again, it's a little bit expensive, but not too bad. Daka, another good one. With Daka, you do a full shooting round with someone, you can do another one. Pretty good. Grot Shield is another one that I like. Grot Shield, any Gretchen model that's within 2 of any of your Orks, you can, again, 2 command points, and you can use that Gretchen as a shield, basically. So the enemy has some mad-ass gun they're going to shoot at you, which is going to decimate you. You just grab your Gretchen and you just stick it in front of you and it gets murdered instead of you, which is really never a bad thing if you're an Ork. I mean, who cares about Gretchen, right? Going to some of your elite options, some of the ones that stand out for me, Cunning Infiltrators. I use this one quite a lot. So you can take up to 3 commando models, including the boss knob. I've talked about this before, and you can drop them within 5 of any enemy unit at the end of turn 1, which is great. 1 command point. I probably use this one every game, unless I'm not taking commandos, obviously. Another good one, I mean, if you're into your burner boys, is Pyromaniac. 1 command point, you can make it from D3 to D6 auto hits. Can be useful in certain circumstances. One that everyone likes is the Warg ability. So basically, for the duration of the phase, add 1 inch to the move characteristics of all models in your kill team. Okay, and add 1 to their advance and charge rolls. That's pretty brutal. I mean, think about that. Turn 2 would be really good. Even turn 1, like say you had your evil sons and then you used Warg instead of dropping stuff in, like I've mentioned before. You could use Warg nearly every turn just to get maximum movement and just try and get your guys up in people's faces. So there's some of the really cool tactics you've got. There's some others, but they're a bit meh. So they're the best ones. So see how you go with those. All right, so I've gone over a few things with Orks. So I've mentioned their strengths, weaknesses, roles, and tactics and what you're going to use them for in Kill Team. Hopefully this has given you a bit of a general overview of if this is the team for you, you'd like to use it, and hopefully it's helped any new players sort through an Ork Kill Team and maybe help decide on what units you might want to take if you're unsure about what you're doing. Now, just a brief rundown there. I mean, Orks, as I said before, they're great. at close combat. Great on the charge. Got some great close combat weapons. I mean, there are some really good shooting options for them. They die really easy. With their t-shirt saves, they find it hard to shoot things, but they've got buckets of bullets, so sometimes that can save them as well. So it's one of these teams, like I play it a bit now, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorite kill teams that I have. And it's just because it's just such a, seat of your pants kind of team to play. You're always, it's exciting to see if they're going to live, they're going to get brutally murdered, or what's going to happen with them. And I think that really adds to the flavor of playing Orks, because I mean, that's what the lore is. That's what they're like. They're just crazy idiots, who run around getting killed and blowing themselves up. So that aspect of it I really like about it. Like with the lore and that, it's great. I really like the Ork kill teams for that purpose. Now, a good way to get started with your Ork kill team is, a boys box straight up, right? Boys box gives you your boss knob and it gives you some boys, right? Either one or two of those is what I would recommend to start with. And if you're going to upgrade and get something else, you've got a couple of options there. Like you could either go commandos, so like you could get some commandos, like a commando box. I think you get 5, and that is a little bit expensive. Or you could go knobs, which is the way I started originally. I got a knob box, and with a knob box, you've got a lot more heavy weapons options. And I even sub them in as a commando model, but then it gives me options. So then, I've got like my regular knobs can take, boss knobs, can take, a big chopper or a power claw. And then I have 2 of the actual knobs from the knobs box set, which are a slightly larger model, which can represent more, figures. And I've got them with power claws and big choppers as well. And then, as I said, I can use them as commandos. They're the 2 boxes that I would really recommend getting. I mean, if you're just going to start and you just need something, then just go your boys or go 2 boy boxes, and that's a really good way to start. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. And thanks heaps for your time. And we've been WarHQ and signing out.